It's time I got what I deserve.
Epic foreshadowing.
Oh.
And welcome back, everybody, to... Jesus, what am I doing here again? And welcome back, everybody, to One True Theory, the show where we never, ever really get any major plot points right, but we're always happy to keep guessing anyways, because sometimes we're very satisfied to be wrong. Like, for example, this little moment right here.
Oh.
Satisfying, isn't it? Great. A beautiful moment for everybody, whether they realize it or not. Adam is dead. Grimm are invading the city. Grimmzilla, or Lenny the Leviathan, whatever you want to call them, is making their way to Argus, and everything's looking pretty bad because the mech is mostly out of commission. Most of our heroes have no aura. Blake and Yang are way too far to even get to the city in time unless they get picked up by the group. Everything is looking quite desperate. So, it is indeed a RWBY season finale. So this is just like a production part that I'm going to theorize about. I believe that this episode is actually going to be the longest episode of RWBY that we're ever going to, maybe not ever going to get, but the longest episode of RWBY we've gotten to date, which is currently taken up by, I believe, the Volume 3 season finale. But considering that this season was originally slated to have 14 episodes, and now it's only going to have 13, probably to line up with the premiere of Genlock a little bit better, I think that just kind of means that they took the last 2 episodes and they just kind of squished them together into one. Because honestly, at this point in time, like the last 4 episodes, up to episode 10, going into the season finale, could all literally just play one after another, after another, after another. Granted, that's how all the episodes are, but I'm talking like straight up, like literally you could just squish all these together and form one cohesive storyline. So, good, props, awesome on all of that. But yep, it's going to be the longest episode we're going to see of RWBY, but of course, that's not why you come to this channel and that's not why you watch these videos. I can't tell you why you do either of those things, but I hope you enjoy it regardless. Today we're going to talk about stakes and consequences. And here is what I'm going to throw out to all of you. This episode, being the biggest, is going to also have its fair share of consequences that are going to follow up. There are a few characters that have death flags on them, there are a few characters that have like serious injury flags on them, and there are a few chances for some characters to have a slight change of heart or have some measure of good thing happen to them. First and foremost, I believe Argus is going to be saved. It's not going to fall, it's not going to be destroyed. I believe Argus is going to be saved because I believe this siege on Argus is going to parallel in a lot of ways the fall of Beacon, except at the fall of Beacon where everything kind of got shattered and torn apart and torn asunder, and that eventually led to Beacon falling and still being unobtainable to this day in the series. I think Argus is going to be saved, but not without some hefty losses. Person who I definitely think is going to die in the finale, Maria Calavera. She's going to die risking her life to save probably RWBY and a group of other people, because it'll take her character arc into a full circle. Because Maria, past the exposition she's given about the Silver Eyes, doesn't really have a lot of other relevancy to the storyline outside of that. She's entertaining, she's fun, but she is a really old lady, and after telling us that basically, well, Silver Eyes isn't necessarily something I can teach you, it's just something you kind of have to do, especially after she learned more about Silver Eyes joining along with that group than she had ever known in her entire life. Maria is a definite red flag for dying. And I think she's going to die actually using her Silver Eye abilities, because while I do know she does not have her Silver Eyes anymore, I don't think that means she can't use that power. I just think it means she doesn't have a safe conduit to release the power anymore without the eyes. So basically, she's going to use her Silver Eyes to either weaken the Leviathan Grimm or chase away a swarm of the Manticore or other Grimm that are invading the city in order to protect Ruby and company. But because she doesn't have the eyes to act as a conduit for all that energy, it's going to cause some bad stuff to happen to her body. And she's basically, I don't want to say she's going to explode, but she might literally explode with Silver Eye power. And it would complete her character arc because she would have sacrificed herself for the good of others like she wasn't able to do since she lost the safety of her eyes. But that might just be a little bit reaching. Either way, I think Maria isn't going to make it. Crow is another one that has some flags on him, but I don't think Crow is going to bite it because I think he at least needs to make it to Atlas, and he needs to come to a resolution with Ozpin, and he needs to meet at the table with Ironwood, since they were always kind of butting heads about the proper way to do things. RWBY, I see RWBY getting some sort of serious and or permanent injury, whether that's a scar, whether that's losing a small part of her body, say maybe, I don't know, fingers for some reason, or one of her Silver Eyes. I see RWBY losing a small part of her body, something that kind of brings her and gives her something that the rest of her team has, which are scars. Permanent, lasting scars. Oh boy. Jean is another one I'm worried about getting seriously injured. A lot of people have been theorizing for a while that he's going to have a trial by fire, so to say. And that's obviously very likely because his aura has finally broken for the first time since he's ever really used it. And that's worrying at best. Rin and Nora are safe, Blake and Yang are safe until we get to Atlas. That way he can try to explain himself a little bit better. But I do believe Oscar is going to get his own personal semblance. And whether that's been changed to just straight up magic since he has Ozpin's soul in him, or if that's something more, that's hard to say. But Oscar is definitely going to get a semblance. I see it in my mind's eye. And then there's our various teams of bad guys. I don't know if I said it in the last episode, but I'm going to say it in this one. Cinder and Neo are probably not showing up to Argus when the rest of our crew is here. They are probably going to show up in an after-credit scene where it shows Neo sneaking Cinder onto an Elysian aircraft and flying off to Atlas, and we'll see them more there. However, I do believe we're going to see Hazel, because Hazel was not that far behind everybody, and he probably came by airship. However, I do think we're going to see Hazel, because Hazel was not that far behind everybody. He was actually quite close to them all. So, I think we're going to see him in Argus in the midst of all this chaos, and he is actually going to fight with Team Junior plus Oscar. And I think this because Team Junior plus Oscar all have felt a very similar loss to Hazel. So whereas initially the battle with Hazel is going to be an all-out brawl like it was before, I think slowly but surely the members of Team Junior plus Oscar are going to kind of try and get him to think in a different way about his loss. They're going to try to make him realize that maybe his sister didn't want him joining up with a demon witch that wants to literally destroy all of humanity to spite her ex-lover. And I think we're going to start seeing the gears turning in Hazel's mind after this, and we're going to start to see the beginnings of a Hazel redemption arc, which I'm honestly quite excited for. We're going to have Hazel fight Team Junior, and he's going to eventually come to an understanding that maybe he shouldn't be doing what he's doing, and maybe he should think about what he's doing a little bit harder. Because I don't think it's an accident that Hazel is being immediately sent out to correct a mistake or to fix everything right after he just ended up failing. And right after we just ended up learning what his motivation for joining Salem is. Now, he's obviously not going to do the full Kansas City Shuffle until probably a few volumes from now. But it's all about lighting the fire. So, to recap, Mario will die. Crow will probably live. Ruby will get some sort of scar or major physical injury. John will get some sort of scar or major physical injury. Rin and Nora are safe. Blake and Ying are safe. Oscar will get a semblance. Caroline Cordovan will probably live. Argus is going to be safe, free, not going to fall at all. And Hazel is going to be put on the path to redemption after having fought Team Junior plus Oscar, who are probably going to go into the city to save primarily Terracotta and Saffron, but also to try and keep the general peace. So, what do you all think? Do you guys think I have a pretty decent idea for what's going to happen during the RWBY season finale? Or do you think maybe I'm a little off base because I've been off base every single time up until this point? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a nice little discussion. And in the meantime, remember, every video is a party, and you're always invited to the next one. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and have a good day.